And we're live with another episode of Millennials on the Move. I am Alexis Small, the CEO of College Days Media. And tonight we are interviewing Mr. Tyree Boyd Pates. So, in the meantime, I'm waiting for him to join us. I hope you guys stick around. It's going to be a really interesting episode tonight. So, I'm super excited. How how are you guys doing? Hey Trey. How was your week? Some of you may be students. How is the semester going thus far? Okay, well, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for him to join. Hi. Productive, starting my master's now. Okay, congratulations. I am trying to get on your level. So Tyree is here. I'm gonna invite him to the Reggie now. Hey everybody, thanks for coming in. We're going live with Mr. Tyree. Here he is. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
hey sis, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good, girl. Let me turn up all the volume so I can hear you. Perfect.
Cool, cool. Okay, so you guys that are just now joining us, we are live with Mr. Tyree Boyd Pates.
Hey,
Am
y'all.
I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Tyree Boyd Pace, that's the government name.
Okay, okay. So I'm so excited to chat with Mr. Tyree. I've been seeing his work throughout Los Angeles. We are both located in Los Angeles,
Oh, word.
and
Yes, nice.
so I've been seeing his work. He's just out here living black boy magic, black boy joy every day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So if you guys have any questions along this interview, please feel free to shoot them in the comment section below, and I'll ask Mr. Tyree whatever you guys want to know. So the first question for tonight is, what is a typical day in Tyree's shoes?
Oh my goodness. So every single morning, I wake up about 4:45 in the morning, and I go to the gym
Okay.
in order to start my day. And I go to the gym. I do my regiment, my routine, lift weights in the nine, and then I come back home and I throw on my business casual, and I head straight into the office. And when I get to the office, I'll check my emails. I'll write out my to-do list, and then I'll go check on my exhibitions to see how they were doing from the day before. And my exhibitions can be from as large as 5,000 square foot spaces or 1,000, and I have to make sure that all of the electronics are working and all the dust is swept and the like. And then the rest of the office day begins. I have meetings, and I have meetings with brands who are trying to prepare for Black History Month, like Nike or other corporate entities who are trying to figure out best inroads to work with the community. And I facilitate and broker those relationships. And then that's by noon. I'll go eat lunch. I'll jump on my iPad and I'll do some writing for my own personal projects. And then I'm back in the office and hashing out meetings and meeting with other partners for future exhibitions. And so that's the day. And then I come home, and then I come home and do some reading.
Okay. What you reading now?
So this is Ta-Nehisi Coates' 8 Years in Power, or I'll read some Afrofuturism by N.K. Jemisin. And so I just have all of it and just kick it in my house and watch some Netflix, I guess.
Got you. Okay, so Speaking of Netflix, did you watch Bird Box?
I have not watched Bird Box because I've been in my own Bird Box.
Okay, got you.
Because I'm getting ready for Black History Month, but I heard good things. I've heard good things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for those of you that are just now joining us, Mr. Tyree is a museum curator. So that's what he was elaborating on, building brands with Nikes, checking out his exhibits, etc. My next question is, So I watched Mr. Tyree's TED Talk. Okay, guys, he was on TED Talk last year or 2016.
It's not three. It's three. It was
3 years.
2016. Yeah, it was
Okay.
my TED Talk. Yeah.
Okay. So what was your initial feeling
Yeah.
when you got asked to do your very first TED Talk? Because I know you're gonna do some more.
Yeah. I found out you can do more, and so I'm gonna do more. But when I first found out that I was gonna do one, I was so nervous, because it's the TED stage, and like they're gonna record it, and you only get one shot to get the best reciting of your speech, and I felt like mine was the best of that I had to offer at that given time about the subject matter, which is Black men, which I am one, right? And I think there's about 10,000 people have seen it, and I've from it some really important people have seen it, and I've been able to build really wonderful relationships because of it, and based off my intellectual property. Because as a curator, I'm also a historian, and as an historian, my intellectual property is the most important thing to me, and so I would just want to make sure that that's always maintained and protected. And so I share that whenever I can with the people that I love and who want to learn more.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I learned in your TED Talk that you were when you were in high school, while you were in high school, you had a 1.8 GPA. And since then you have become a college professor. So can you walk us through that journey from 1.8 to college professor and excelling at all that you do?
Yeah. I was a knucklehead just like everybody else when they were in high school, chasing skirts, trying to lick the flies that I could, trying to outdress everybody, J's, the whole nine. I was always teased. I wasn't teased, but because I had glasses, everyone called me Gangsta Urkel because I had fits, but I still looked like a nerd. So, but the irony is, like, I wasn't smart. I was smart, but I wasn't applying it to class. I was applying it to everything else. So, when it came down time to prepare for graduation my senior year, my college professor had said that you probably should forgo going to a four-year university because you have a 1.87 GPA. And I told him, I was like, well, my mama's not going to accept that, and neither will I, and you better do your job because your job is you're supposed to get me into college. And he was like, there's nothing that I could do. So by the grace of God, of course, I think I had a relationship with my church, who had a relationship with a university called Cal State Bakersfield here in California. And they had an equal opportunity program that I got accepted in, and then I was able to come through a summer bridge program. And when I got to campus, I was like, yo, like, this is my new lease on life. My mother, unfortunately, my birth mother passed away my freshman year of college.
Wow.
And my last conversation with her was over the phone. And it was actually over the phone on the steps of the library. And the last word she told me when I asked her, is there anything that I could do? And she said, just keep doing what you're doing. And I internalized that as being on the steps of the libraries, continue to keep learning. And sure enough, 10 years later, within that time span, I've been a college professor, lectured across the country. And now I'm a museum curator and historian. And now I'm looking for my college professor who didn't want to get me into a four-year university because he didn't know what he was could have derailed, which is a successful Black man like myself.
That is touching. That story right there, like, man.
It's facts. I only have transparency.
Wow. Okay. So after graduating from what high school did you attend?
So I went to Hamilton. If you're from if you're from LA, everyone kind of knows Hamilton High.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So what was your transition from Hamilton to Temple University?
Oh yeah, sure. My transition from Hamilton to Temple was Cal State Bakersfield, which was my undergrad, where I got my bachelor's in communications with an emphasis in public relations and a minor in African American studies. But I was a McNair scholar who applied for graduate school. And for all those who know what McNair is, it's like to go to do doctoral work. So I got into Temple through their master's program, and that's how I ended up in Philadelphia.
Okay. Cool. And how did you like from going from LA to Philadelphia? What was
It was
the
like
changes? What was the challenges?
it was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in reverse. Like I was like the Fresh Prince going back to West Philly.
Okay, gotcha.
It was great. I fell in love with the city, North Philly in particular, because there's so much. The beauty of blackness is really there in North Philadelphia,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone has beards. I grew mine out because I lived there. I learned and read so much that I was like, I want to take Philly with me wherever I go, and so now I do, and I rep North Philly wherever I go, especially Temple.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. So what inspired you to want to study Pan-African studies?
yeah. I took a trip to South Africa my soft my sophomore junior year of college,
Okay.
and it was a service trip, and I was in the townships of Johannesburg and Cape Town working with the locals. And while there, I just saw the beauty of blackness, the beauty of the diaspora, the beauty of all of who we are, despite how many miles we are from one another. And I knew after visiting South Africa, like I have to dedicate the rest of my life to unpacking and learning our history and our culture. And I wanted to share that with everyone that I came across. And now I get to do it as a career. I do it as a career. And so I'm very appreciative that South Africa gave me that gift. And now I give that gift with me every day at work.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay. So you kind of answered this question.
sure.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. How did you land your job as a museum curator?
Great question. So I was back in 2015, 2016. I was a professor teaching Pan-African studies at Cal State Dominguez Hills. And at the same time, I was volunteering at the museum because I felt like the museum could do so much more if it decided to, particularly like reaching millennials like me, you and I,
Mm-hmm.
and wanting to make sure that Black history was palatable, tangible to us. And I knew I could do that really well in the classroom. So I started volunteering, and then I started a Millennial Council at the museum.
Okay.
And they were like, yo, we love what this young man is doing. And then the opportunity came where they were looking for a history curator. And a history curator is someone who does Black history, does history, American history, but also has the ability to build out exhibitions about that history. And I had the teaching experience, I had the credentials and the scholarship and the research. All I needed was the opportunity. And sure enough, they took a chance on me and all of my and they loved that I had a social media following, and so
The rest was history.
the rest is literally history. The rest is Black history. Yeah.
What is some life advice that you would give younger Tyree?
What's the question?
What is some life advice that
Life
you,
advice.
or what is some advice on life that you would give younger Tyree?
Yeah, a younger Tyree would probably be a younger Black man. So I would say to him to trust the process. It's kind of like my my motto is trusting the process and everything that process gives to you, including the good and the bad and the ugly. Knowing that every single step that you're taking is a part of a larger arc. So embrace it. And as soon as that you're able to see that the universe is telling you, trying to teach you something as opposed to trying to stop you, you'll look at that obstacle differently. So that's one, trust the process. And then two, if speaking to a younger Tyree, continue to love and respect Black women, right? Because
Okay. Okay.
love and respect Black women, because every single door that older Tyree has gotten has been because of the generosity that Black women have extended to him to open the door, right? And so make sure to always respect Black women, both platonically and romantically, and making sure that you open the door for them when you enter those rooms. And so today I just tweeted that I love seeing Black women win, because when Black women win, we all
win.
We all win. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay. And as a Black man, how do you practice self love, self care?
Self love, self care. I do it pretty routinely. As you can see, I have a plant behind me because I'm kind of like a plant dad. I keep a lot of green things around me, like literally. I I um, I keep my house with a lot of plants and aromas. I also make sure to keep a very sound sleeping regimen. I also do a lot of positive self-talk, making sure to tell myself that, Tyree, you are where you are, and you're taking responsibility for your actions, and you should be proud of those things. And if nobody's watching, there's a little boy or a little girl watching it, so you should consider that as a part of what you do. And also just really journaling. Like, I have journals where I reflect regularly about how far I've come, where do I see myself going in 3 to 5 years, and where I've been. And so keeping that pretty routine, and keeping good people around you, particularly family that care about you, are all part of my self-care. And so Saturdays I don't work. Like, it's called Self-Care Saturday for Tyree, where like I put all of my work off, and I do 1 to 2 things that I really enjoy, whether that be buying new books, picking out new plants, tweeting, IGing, whatever. And if you follow me really regularly, my followers can tell you that I keep this routine pretty often.
Got it. Okay, that's super cool that you take time for Tyree, because that is vitally important to take time for yourself.
Yeah, you live longer when you care about yourself.
Sermon, a whole word. And shout out to Lady Loves Yoga. Thank you, complimenting me on my question.
Yes, Oprah, come through.
Yeah. And just a reminder, you guys that are just now joining us, feel free to, if you guys have any questions, let us know, and we'll answer them.
Yes, please. Ask as many questions as you like. I have answers upon answers. Yes.
So my next question is, what inspires you? What keeps you going?
It's a good question. I think what keeps me going is us. Like, and I say us as Black people. I think we have this unique opportunity to really see our futures determined by us. And like, I constantly encourage myself and others to see and learn as much as we can about our Blackness, because I think all of our answers are found in who we are as people. And I think we often are just looking outside of ourselves to find answers. And I think that creates this hamster wheel that we always are running on. And what keeps me going is just liberation, Black kids, and them learning about themselves. And repeat, like wash and repeat. Like, it's just, those are my whys, why I do the work that I do.
And when do you think you found your, at what moment do you think you found your purpose in life?
It was in my 20s. It was in my 20s. And I just actually turned 30 this past Sunday. So
happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just turned 30, and I think I found my why in my 20s. And I think a lot of us find our whys in our 20s. It's just about the courage enough to chase after it, despite our circumstances, because all of us have those obstacles. And I told myself that after visiting South Africa, that I knew what I was going to do for the rest of my life, or at least I could forecast what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I just did it without abandon. And it was hard. It was hard as, I don't know if we can cuss, but it was hard as hell.
Feel free. Feel free to express yourself.
Yeah, it was hard as hell. But I put myself in a position where everything that I have and do every day is because I was putting in the work maybe 5 to 7 to 8 years ago. And I'm proud of that, right? And I knew it's because I decided to just go after what I wanted and love and support the people that care about me and I live.
Got it. So you keep bringing up South Africa.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Sure.
Let's talk about it. So
yeah, what do you want to know?
I want to know everything. I also love to travel. So I want to know your experience, that long flight. When you got there, how were you feeling? What it smelled like? What it tastes like? What did it sound like? Everything.
Yeah, I would say, sis, that like I just put up a post on my IG yesterday, and I was saying, like, brothers and sisters, if it's at least once in your life, like, go to Africa. Something unlocks whenever you go, and something did, because when I'll never forget when I got to Dakar, which is West Africa. Your plane has to refuel, or you have to catch a flight to fly all the way down to South Africa, and that flight is like another 8 hours. In total, I think we flew probably 16 to 22 hours from LA. And I'll never forget when I touched ground, and I breathed in the first air that I had in Africa. I knew I felt different. Like I felt accomplished. Like I had gotten a piece of something that I had lost. And I know that sounds like real deep and like not too hotepy, but like just deep. But it was true. South Africa gave me something. The South Africa, when I saw my people doing the exact same things that we do here in Compton and Watts, in South Central, and we're like thousands upon thousands of miles away from one another, I was just like, well, what keeps us connected? And of course, the thing is our culture, but also our skin tone and our complexion. And I just was awakened to the beauty of my blackness. And I was like, yo, like, what if I could tell everybody that they too can see and feel the same thing when they go? And that's my life's work now. It's like telling everybody, get your ancestry test from, whichever one you trust, and find out what tribe you come from, what part of West Africa do you descend from, and then investigate. And I promise you, like, you won't even have to think of me, because you'll be so fulfilled by what Africa has to offer that you'll stop looking for what you think is filling you. And I know that's deep, but it happened for me. And I think that's why I'm like as lit as I am. Yeah.
So what type of food did you try?
Oh yeah.
What type of adventures did you go on? Any adventures?
Safaris. I went on a safari. I mean, I don't want to give this impression like lions, tigers, and bears are walking around. It's not coming to America or nothing like that. But South Africa, has aspects of it that have safaris that one tourist can go on. So I ate goat. I ate various things. But your body has to get adjusted to like the food there and the water, so you can get sick really easily if you're not accustomed to it. But I think overall, Cape Town is probably like as beautiful as LA, but 2 times as better, because it's as tropical. The weather is like LA every day, but like the mountains are higher and the grass is greener, like legitimately. And I'll never forget it. And it's the home of Nelson Mandela, the face of liberation in South Africa. So not only politically is it important, but aesthetically it's even more beautiful. And I'm going back to Africa this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part?
I'm going to Cairo. I'm going to Cairo this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to see the pyramids this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could be a superhero,
yeah,
what would be your superpower? And how would you save people?
It would. Okay, of course, I had to put my little.
My
little T'Challa. No, I got him close. No, if I was a superhero, well, who would I be, man? Or what would it be? What would my power be?
What would your superpower be?
What would my superpower be? I probably would like to fly. Like, I think flying would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool because I could go back to Africa without paying for no ticket. But I think flying would be really cool if I had that power.
So you want them flyer miles?
Yes.
Okay, and how would you save people with that superpower?
How would I save people? Oh, I would teach them how to fly if they could also fly, because flying is dope. I don't know.
Got you. Okay, we're gonna take that. We're gonna run with it.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you?
Questions.
Oh, I already asked you that question. So this is actually my final question. So if you guys have any more questions, please shoot them away.
Please.
Thank you. Look, sis is encouraging.
Yeah, she got it.
What advice can you give to a current college student or a recent grad who is trying to find their purpose in life?
Right. I would say to them that whatever idea that they have right now is probably the idea that will unlock the future that they want to have. And it's like, and the one that they think is so silly that no one would ever buy into, that no one would ever support or endorse or back, that's actually probably the idea that's crazy enough to work. And pursuing that, you can and may fail, but it could unlock the other idea that may actually be whatever it is. But just trusting that process and going for it. And you're in college, you really don't have nothing to lose. You don't want to practice when you're an adult like me. It's hard. But like in college, using your free resources, whether it be your career development center or whatever those resources are, use those to really chase that crazy idea that you're sleeping on right now.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay. Man. So I noticed that you're a heavy reader. What would be some books? Well, actually, what is your favorite book to read? Your top favorite book?
My top favorite book to read of all time? I would say the book that changed my life and probably saved it was probably the autobiography of Malcolm X.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the book. Like, it's that book, it not only changed my life, it saved my life. It saved my life. Yeah.
Saved your life how?
Because it was the first time that I heard my frustrations, anxieties, and fears back to myself, and they were like affirmed. And they were affirmed and they were empowered.
It's frozen on my side. Can you guys still hear me? Because I can't see Tyree.
Most of what we do or most of what we don't do is fear-based, right? And we usually are second-guessing ourselves because we have no one to look up to. And so that book gave me somebody to look up to.
Okay, so we have some comments rolling in. You froze for a little bit. So it says, wow, this was insightful.
This has been so
okay. This has been so inspiring. Thank you both. Name of book again. That was Malcolm X, right? The autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, okay, I think it's fixed. Cool. I don't know if they heard me or not, but my favorite book, the book that saved my life, is the autobiography of Malcolm X, for those who are watching. And if I may have been paused.
Okay. Yeah. So do you mind sharing a time in your life where you were hit with different challenges and how you overcame those obstacles?
Yeah, I have a really present example. When I got out of grad school, I had 2 master's degrees. I had a master's degree, my African American Studies degree, my PanAfrican Studies degree, and then my bachelor's degree in communications. I tried an internship with a Black public relations firm here in Los Angeles, but I knew very quickly after a month in, I did not want to have anything to do with that. But afterward, I was kind of burning through the savings that I had saved through grad school. And my mom was like, my grandmother, who let me move back in with her, let me sleep on her couch. But she said, you got to work. And I was like, nah, Mom, I'm about to blow up on Twitter. Like, I'm about to get verified and, I'm the hot stuff. She was like, I don't care about your Twitter following. You need to go get a job. We have lights. So what I had to do is I had to get a part-time job, and I was working at a local YMCA, making $9.75 an hour with 2 degrees. And I had to do that for 11 months. And I'm talking about like 11 months on the bus, 6 days a week, having to help the house. And this was with 2 degrees. And so this is like after grad school, you think you the hot stuff. I got thousands of followers on Twitter and IG. And I still got to work at the YMCA where white folks are throwing towels in my face because their kids didn't get a swimming class, right? So it was a humbling period of time when I was when I was out of grad school. But that's when my trusting the process kicked in, and I had some powerful help with a former relationship that I was in, and all of these great people who came to my side. And fortunately, in between that period of grad school, working at the YMCA, people at Dominguez Hills found out that I was back in the city, and they were former Temple alumni themselves, and they gave me my first gig teaching in the class. And I had never taught a college class, but my first day I was Professor Boyd Pace, right? And so it just goes to show you, like, the hardest obstacles of that 11 months, 6 days a week on the bus, making $9.75 could actually have been the key to open up the next opportunity where I could sit across from you, being as accomplished as I am today. So that was the hardest period of my life.
Wow.
But now I'm traveling across the country talking about Black history, and doing exhibitions that get in the
Doing what you love.
Yeah, so I'm not complaining. I mean, but it's hard. It was hard.